Hey, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. We get the week rolling. We got a little hockey starting here, game two with the Panthers and the Oilers. Couple of nights off in the NBA. Dallas is in deep trouble as they are now down 2-love. And what about the reports about Sasha Vezenkov? I told you from day one, right? I told you from day one I had talked with 3 scouts in Europe, okay? And they all told me the same thing about Vezenkov. Don't get too excited. That was the message. All right. Don't get too excited just because he is the MVP of the EuroLeague. Now, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's certainly, not a situation that Sacramento wanted to find themselves in after 1 year if Vezenkov does indeed want out of Sacramento. All right, you want to give me a call? You know the routine. You got the QR code right up over my shoulder. All right, you got the link right here. So give me a call. You can talk about whatever you want. Don't forget a doubleheader day as Ryan in Sacktown will join me coming up at 8 o'clock. Looking forward to that. That's 8 o'clock tonight, Ryan in Sacktown. As far as the Kings go, though, if they lose Monk and Vezenkov is not back, that dramatically changes your three-point prowess. Now, you're obviously going to add a player or players in the offseason, but on the surface, that's not what you want going into the offseason. All right? Cody said, what a bummer. I feel like I never got to see Sasha get a good feel. I would agree with that. Totally would agree with that. It took him a while to get acclimated. He fell out of favor with Mike Brown. Then he got hurt. Then he came back. Then he got hurt again. Mike Brown really, for quite a while when he was healthy, would not go with him, did not like what he saw in practice. So it just is what it is. The thing is, Vezenkov doesn't have a lot of trade value. Zach goes, could Sasha be thrown in a Kuzma deal? He can be thrown in any kind of deal, but, based on what we've seen, he doesn't have a lot of value in the NBA. Okay? That's just the way it is. He just doesn't. He doesn't have a lot of value. So we'll see. It's not the end of the world if he doesn't come back. I'm not sure how much he would have been in Mike Brown's rotation anyway. But based on the Kings' efforts to get him over here, the money, everything else, it is not an ideal situation. All right, let's get in Patrick, who wants to join us. Hello, Patrick. How are you?
How you doing, Grant?
Good, Patrick. What's going on, buddy?
Nothing much. Two things I wanted to bring up. First of all, what a disappointment Darren Waller was when he joined the Giants last year. I mean, it's just awful. I know it was coming, but now that it actually happened.
You know what?
What a disappointment.
There's a reason why the Raiders didn't keep him, and we're finding out why.
Why was that?
Because they saw the writing on the wall. He was hurt a lot, and his passion for football was waning, and they just realized that this guy's not going to be playing that much longer. So that's why.
Oh God! All right. Good answer. My other question was did you read today about the NC Wolfpack, the basketball team from 1983? They're suing. They want to get money from NIL now.
Yeah, I don't quite understand that. Do you?
No, not at all. I'm afraid, like, if they actually win this thing, it's going to open the floodgates. How about all the Miami football teams from, like, the 80s and stuff? They're all going to start suing to get money?
I think,
I don't know.
I think name, image, and likeness is the worst thing that's ever happened to college sports, and I think it's going to be the downfall of college sports. I think it's going to ruin college sports. College sports will never be the same, and I think it's the worst thing that's ever happened.
I mean, it's only football and basketball that are really making the money. Everybody else, they're sort of like living off of them. So, like, what are they going to do? NIL all the other sports? I mean, lacrosse, baseball,
it's not good. Plain and simple, it's not good. It might be good for the athletes, but it's not good for anybody else.
No, I agree with you. All right, hey, have a good week, Grant. Take care.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. Who was a better Giant, Darren Waller or Kenny Golladay? Wow. Well, I know it wasn't Kadarius Toney. I'll say Waller, but yeah, definitely a guy that never materialized with the Giants after a very good career with the Raiders. All right, hit me up if you want to call the show like Patrick did. Sorry, I got allergies today. You can do so. If you want to continue in on the chat line, we can do that as well. Don't forget, as I said, Ryan and Sacktown will join me coming up at 8 o'clock. So when you look at the Kings right now, and I know we're going around, but it is an open forum, you have now a off season where, and again, if you are not able to retain Malik Monk, and I'm on the side of he's gone, then all of a sudden your 3-point shooting looks completely different going into the draft and free agency. It just does. And I don't think you're getting anybody good in the draft in all likelihood if you keep your pick. And the Kings are going to have to get very creative. They are going to have to make some bold moves. They just are. It's going to, you look at the West right now. Who are the Kings better than? Like where you can say, I'm 100% certain they're better than this team. Portland? Okay. Who else? San Antonio? I think they're better than San Antonio. Houston? I don't know. Memphis? Healthy? I don't think so. Oklahoma City? No. Minnesota? No. Dallas? No. Denver? No. New Orleans? No. That's the way I'm looking at it, My thoughts, Grant. Give me your thoughts on Kyrie Irving's play so far in the NBA Finals. Very poor. Dallas cannot win this series. They won't win a game if Irving doesn't start playing better. Won't win a game. Won't win a game. Just won't. Maybe the Jazz. Jazz are going to load up this summer, Cody. I'd say, yeah, right now they're better than the Jazz. Good one right there. But I don't know if they're going to be better than the Jazz when the season begins. Again, you have to wait and see what these rosters are going to look like. Right now we just don't know. There's just too much. How about Dan Hurley saying no to the Lakers? How embarrassing is that for a franchise like the Lakers? Hurley could have doubled the money, but you know what? Money's not everything. He is in an absolute great situation at UConn. He's following in the footsteps of what Jim Calhoun did. He has everything taken care of. He has all the bells and whistles. He's in an environment that he's comfortable in, that he likes, that they love him there. Why go to the Lakers? Just to take the money? He's already making a ton of money, Could Jrue Holiday steal the MVP? Sure could. I mean, the guy's been dynamite. Dynamite. Really good. I mean, what a pickup for the Celtics to be able to get him for the Bucks. Wow. Man, that's big time. That is big time. All right, speaking of big time, the hockey ratings are up 43% after game one. By the way, I didn't see game two ratings yet for the NBA, but game one ratings were not good. Not good at all. First of all, it was a blowout. I don't know about you, but I can't even really watch more than 5 minutes of the NBA. I can't. I mean, the way the game's played is terrible. It's just not very good, Grant, who was your favorite Kings team to hang around in your broadcasting days? That's easy. The late 90s and the early 2000s by far was when you had Jason Williams and Scott Pollard and John Barry with Vlade and Peja and those guys. That was by far the most fun. I mean, I have so many stories of just sitting around, just things that you wouldn't even think would be funny ended up being hysterical. I tell the story that we were all sitting around. We were sitting around a circular table after shoot around in Salt Lake City at the hotel restaurant, and it was Vladi, Peja, Pollard, John Barry, Hito, and one other I can't remember off the top of my head. And JB always read the paper, always. Back then, everyone read the paper, but he loved looking at box scores, loved the paper. And it was pretty quiet. Everybody was eating, but JB's reading the paper, sports section, and he's sitting right next to Peja. And JB goes, "Are you shitting me, Peja? Could you imagine if we took 42 shots?" He's talking about. He starts reading Allen Iverson's line from the night before, where AI took like 40 shots, 42 shots, and only had like 45 points. And he goes, "You got to be kidding me." He goes, "Patient, could you imagine you and me if we took 42 shots a game? We'd have 80 points." Stuff like that. You know, just like that. I mean, just little things. Just little things. We had so much fun. Those guys were just incredible. Vladdy was always keeping the team loose and together, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great, great time. Great time. We always had fun. I mean, and the thing is, like, they accepted me not as their TV announcer and talk show host. They all used to listen to my show because I was told that they all listen to my show. And then they would come up to me and tell me things that they heard on the show. So I knew that they were listening to my show. They accepted my show. And they accepted me. And being close to their generation, not quite their generation, they accepted me as one of their friends. And to this day, I'm close with a lot of those players on that team. Many players. Many players. So, it was an era that we'll never see again in Sacramento for a variety of reasons. Variety of reasons. Grant, how about WNBA ratings? Ratings have been going up since Caitlin Clark came into the league, plus lots of other extra things that have recently been happening. Well, it's good for women's basketball, but it's bad with the way they're handling it. I don't know if a league could handle the arrival of a superstar any worse than the WNBA and its players and coaches. Shame on them. Shame on them, because they can't handle prosperity. They cannot handle prosperity. Cody says he didn't mention Tyrone Wheatley. Tyrone Wheatley is much better, much, much better than those two. Tyrone Wheatley at least played. He never, the running back out of Michigan could never live up to his Michigan expectations, but he much better than those two guys. Much better. Trust me, Patrick. I started watching the Giants in 1962. I can give you, you remember Rocky Thompson? If not, look it up, Patrick. Number 22. Big afro. Put the helmet on. His hair was still coming out of his head. Fastest guy in the Giants. Kickoff return specialist as the number 1 pick. Number 22. Look it up, Patrick. Rocky Thompson. Giants were so bad offensively, they drafted a guy that figured they could give him good field position on the kickoff returns. I'm not kidding you. Look it up. Rocky Thompson. I've seen it all, Patrick. I've seen it all. Better than Ron Dane. No. Different. I would say no. Good knowledge there, Cody. Ron Dane out of Wisconsin. I would say no. I've seen some bad draft picks. Trust me. I've seen some pretty good draft picks too. Lawrence Taylor wasn't bad. Phil Simms was pretty good. I can go on and on. You know. Grant, am I a Daniel Jones believer? I'm a Giants fan, and I think he'll bounce back this year with healthy O-line and Malik Neighbors. Well, I can only tell you that a year ago, he was really good and won a playoff game in Minnesota and played very, very well. So I've seen him do it before, but it's about consistency. Now, he has never had anyone quite like what he has now in Neighbors. This guy has special written all over him. Now, you don't have Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Your offensive line does look better, but he's got to stay healthy. He's got to stay healthy. But Malik Neighbors, boy, does he look good. He looks good just based on everything I'm reading. He was good coming out of college. I'm not a big fan of taking a wide receiver, but in this particular instance, you couldn't pass on him. I mean, he's that special. If he stays healthy, I think he has a chance to be that guy. I really do. I think he has a chance to be that type of a guy. We'll see. He's got a good attitude. But listen, there are a lot of players that look good in OTAs. I got to wait till we get to September. All right, anything else you want to talk about, hit me up. And again, if you want to give me a call like Patrick did, feel free to do so. There is the link to call the show. You also have the QR code. Rhino in Sacktown is going to be coming up with me at 8 o'clock. We will talk a variety of topics. That's coming up at 8 o'clock. All right, so we were just talking about a question about the WNBA. It is mystifying to me how Caitlin Clark was not put on Team USA. Team USA has already won the gold. It's a formality. Okay? Why would you not ride the coattails of what's going on right now and introduce the world to the rest of your players on Team USA? If you had Caitlin Clark on Team USA, that might be the most watched events of the Summer Olympics. It makes no sense to me. No sense. No sense at all. I don't understand it, Don't understand it. Earlier, Rhino said he felt Hurley would have taken the job if LeBron James was not on the roster. I feel there is validity to that. Maybe. I'm not going to speak for Dan Hurley. I think there are a couple of reasons. I think the age of that team. I think the fact that the Lakers don't look like they're going to be able to stay competitive with the other younger teams in the West. Money's not everything. And first of all, he's already making a lot of money. How much money do you need to live on? He doesn't have to pay for his house. He doesn't have to pay for his cars. He has everything. He doesn't have any expenses, and he's making a contract that pays him a salary of over $30 million for all the length of the contract, plus all the apparel and everything else deals that he has. He's doing just fine. Okay. He's doing just fine. What did I think of the Yankees versus the Dodgers series, especially without Soto? Well, without Soto, I mean, it changed the whole series around. But they're clearly the two best teams in their respective leagues. The problem is the Dodgers never can win in the playoffs. To me, they haven't won a World Series since Kirk Gibson. The lockout year doesn't count. And they've had the best team in baseball every year for the last couple of years. So, same with the Yankees. The Yankees have been unbelievably disappointing, and the Yankees have been really good in June before, and then they fall apart because of injuries. Can Judge stay healthy? We can go right on down the list. Pitching is much better this year. So, I look at that. But, What did I think of the Yankees and the Dodgers? Without Soto, it changed the whole series around. I don't think there's any question about that. All right, keep the questions coming. Don't forget Ryan and Sacktown coming up at 8 o'clock. They've dropped the puck. You know, how Edmonton did not win game one tells you all you need to know about hockey. When you get Bobrovsky, the goaltender from Florida, was sensational. Sensational in game one. And if they get that type of goaltending, Florida will win this series. I ran into a guy the other night from Montreal, and he said, "You watching a hockey?" I go, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "Man, we're all rooting for Edmonton. The whole country is rooting for Edmonton. Do you know that a Canadian team has not won the cup? I think it was 93 the last time a Canadian team won the cup. Think about that. Think about that. You know? Amazing. Grant, when the Bruins beat the Canucks in the Stanley Cup, Vancouver rioted. Have other cities done this in losses? Yes, many have done it in losses. It was a bad look for this beautiful, beautiful city of Vancouver. Bad look. Doesn't the Olympic Basketball Committee not care about merchandising? They dropped the ball big time. They dropped the ball in just about every single category, you know? Do I think the Kings can get a Durant, Butler, or Mitchell in a blockbuster trade? No, I don't. Sea-Dog wants to know, did the series change my mind that the Yankees need to re-sign Soto at the end of the year? It didn't change my mind. I wouldn't give him $400 million. I wouldn't give anybody $400 million. So if that's what he's going to get somewhere else, see you later, alligator. I'm not paying anyone that kind of money. I'm just not. You know, give me $200 million and go get me 2 good pitchers and I'll be better. So it didn't change my mind at all. No. I'm not paying anybody that kind of money. No way. Not doing it. And if he can get that kind of money, bye. You know? And the Yankees can afford it. It's not even a matter of that. I'm not in the group of paying that kind of money. I told you the same thing when they signed Garrett Cole. I wouldn't do it. I don't like it. I do not like it at all. Just not a fan of it. I'm also not a fan of. I actually watched the game. The parts of the game I did watch yesterday, I watched with no sound. Breen, Van Gundy, and Burke are not good together. They're just not. They're not good together. Tell you what I did watch. I did watch the French Open final with Alcaraz and, I mean, boy, can they play, huh? Can they play? The pace on the ball, 4+ hours, 5 sets. Man, that was incredible. That was absolutely good tennis. I watched the F1 race in Montreal. So I watched, a lot of different things. Got hockey on here. I've watched very little of I don't like watching the NBA like I used to. I just don't. The game is not the same. I don't like the way the game is played. I just don't. Kevin said the TV crew in the NBA Finals is horrible. Doris Burke adds nothing, and there is no chemistry, no excitement when there are highlight plays made. I don't agree with you about no excitement. Mike Breen is still the best. But I agree with you about Doris Burke. I think I'm not a Doris Burke fan like everyone else. And JJ Redick, there is zero chemistry. Zero. It's terrible. Just the way it is. Cody wants to know, did Ezekiel Elliott and Todd Gurley ruin the running back market, or had general managers devalued the running back play? I think Elliott, that's a very good one. I'm not so sure about Gurley, but then you look at Tennessee. There are instances where, a running back has been the bell cow, like Derrick Henry, and been instrumental in a team's success. But Henry is one of the few that I can point at and go, that's why Tennessee was really good when he was running as the best running back in football. You know, Mike Vrabel used him the right way. Their offense was centered around him. But it's a very good point, you know? Very good point. What TV crew should be doing the NBA Finals? The crew they have now sucks. The same one that did it last year, but ESPN got greedy and they didn't want to pay Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy. It's terrible. I actually watched the game with no sound. The parts I did watch. And I didn't watch the whole game. I'm like, oh my God, really? Another three? Oh God, one-on-one. Oh, another three? Oh God. You know, I mean, it's terrible. You know? Give me hockey any night of the week. I watch hockey any night of the week over the NBA playoffs. Any night of the week. You come into my place, all right, and see what's on my TV. See what's on my TV. How good was Bobrovsky from the Panthers this weekend? Still has at his age. Who do you have winning it all? I'm saying the winner of tonight's game wins the Stanley Cup. That's the way I'm looking at it. But hard to think that Bobrovsky, Sergei Bobrovsky, is just going to all of a sudden forget how to play goalie. God, he was unbelievable. Amazing. Amazing. Patrick says Breen and Hubie are good together. Actually, Hubie and anyone is good. I would agree. I'd take Hubie Brown over Doris Burke and J.J. Redick any freaking day of the week. What is Hubie, 90 years old? I don't care. He's still really good. But, yeah, Doris Burke and J.J. Redick with Mike Breen are just terrible. It's just not very good. Plain and simple. I think if you ask Mike Breen privately, he would tell you the same thing. Mike knows. He knows. You know? He knows. All right, don't forget that's coming up tonight at 8 o'clock, Ryan in Sacktown. We're looking forward to that. We'll talk a little hockey, but we'll talk a lot of basketball. We'll talk about the Kings and anything else going on in the NBA. All right? Hey, Grant, it doesn't look it's that easy to find head coaches after all. Well, you're wrong. It's very easy to find head coaches. Why would you say that? Because Dan Hurley turned down the offer? That's a very extreme situation. There are a lot of tremendously qualified coaching candidates to coach in the NBA. Just the way it is. Can't watch ESPN NBA postgame. TNT is way better. I haven't watched 1 second of any shows, but my timeline just tells me how bad ESPN is, that it's unwatchable, that it's embarrassing. You know? Grant, whatever happened to Mike Tirico, I feel him, Hubie, and Breen would be dynamite together. Well, no disrespect, but you know nothing about broadcasting to make a comment like that. You know zero about broadcasting, okay? Mike Tirico is at NBC, and he's a play-by-play guy. So explain to me, Zach, how are you going to have two play-by-play guys on a telecast? What are they both going to – Mike Breen will announce when the Celtics have the ball, and Mike Tirico will announce when the other team has the ball. It's a stupid-ass comment. Stay to what you know, would you please? Unbelievable. Mike Tirico doing Sunday Night Football. Yes, correct. Yes, absolutely. ESPN made a 20-minute segment on LeBron unfollowing Perkins on Instagram. I don't know how anybody watches ESPN. I really don't. I have no idea. I don't understand. No score 5 minutes into the first period with Edmonton and Florida. All right, so I want to go 30 minutes today. We got 30 minutes in. Coming up, 8 o'clock, Rhino in Sacktown. All right? That's coming up at 8 o'clock. Be back then. Thanks, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.